Nonsense Comics. Wolfgang's Complete and Total Nonsense Comics. Wolfgang's Complete and Total Nonsense Comics.
This is a serious trigger warning. This is not a joke. This show discusses topics from all aspects of human life, some beautiful, some wretchedly awful. If you have an aversion to anything in life that makes you appreciate and need trigger warnings as much as you might want and need water on a hot day, we understand. We are both on the autism spectrum and have suffered immense trauma over the years. We both experience similar issues and sometimes need a trigger warning or our day is ruined. We want to accommodate all of you. This is not meant to be snarky or sarcastic. It is a blanket warning. We will soon have independent reviewers determining the number and types of possibly triggering discussions. Timestamps and detailed info will be supplied below each video and audio file. One of our guiding principles is error correction. Let us know how we can make this a better experience for you, and we will do our best to accommodate you. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and we appreciate The Brian and Wolfgang Show. The record store that turned into a podcast. The podcast that isn't a podcast. Or maybe it is. I don't know what it is. I guess we'll figure that out later.
Probably just.
But for now, I want to talk about an idea that I've been kicking around for a while.
Huge idea.
Okay, I need to preface it with something. Okay, people say, write the way you talk. And when I do that, people get weird. Because I use a lot of ellipses.
And run-on sentences.
And don't follow the rules. Okay, but then there's write what you know. So let's try that. Now, I'm not writing, I'm talking. That's what I do. So, I don't know much about world religions compared to what I know about Christianity, because I was raised in the Christian church, so I know a little bit. And my brother was a Pentecostal minister, and I've had lots of friends who were really into the ideas. One of my best friends from my whole life is really into the ideas about Christianity. Everything surrounding it, like from regular old going to church stuff and stuff in the Catholic faith, which he's part of, to Teilhard de Chardin and kind of more esoteric ideas. And anyway, my sister has a degree in comparative religion or something, right, Deb?
Yes, I did earn my AAS in religion.
So that's my disclaimer. Oh, or is it? Wait, no, there's more to it. Right. So I've called myself an agnostic, I've called myself an atheist, and I am an atheist because I do not like theism. And I don't like any isms, to be honest. Well, my favorite ism is probably the album Ism by Godley and Cream from 10cc, which, while it is not one of their most intriguing records, it's pretty amazing. Anyway,
Joey's camel.
So I've got this idea.
Good God, it's a snack attack.
And I've been kicking it around for a long time. Now, I don't know if it's original, and I don't think it is. I call it the Dispersed Christ. Now, someone said recently that they think it might be kind of a Quaker idea, and the idea is this. Jesus is not coming back. He's already here.
In all
now,
of us.
Like I said, I'm not a Christian, and I don't believe in these things in the way that Christians seem to believe in them. I believe in them in a more metaphorical. I think that these ideas are part of a toolkit that we all have and we can all use if we want to, if we don't buy into certain belief systems. Anyway, so the idea is, yeesh. I have to keep on rewinding and reminding myself what I'm talking about. Anyway, so the dispersed Christ means this. There is a spark of Christ, or maybe there is an entire Christ within each of us, and all we need to do is find a way to wake that up, and boom, then we do good stuff, and we help each other, and we cooperate instead of trying to dominate each other into submission so we can get what we want, because I'm here to tell you that we can all have what we want. And I think we can apply this to any religion who says that there's some magical being who was here once and is coming back eventually to save us all. I don't know if there are other ones like that. Anyway. But what if that's what it took? Just listening to that good part of yourself, the part that knows the right thing to do. Now, I don't believe that everyone knows that stuff, or maybe they've forgotten it. You know, it's all that stuff around the golden rule. But I think most of us have that in us still, no matter how deeply it's buried under self-doubt and self-loathing and fear of what others are going to think of us if we go around being nice and helping people and shit, and, you know, loving people and telling them that we love them. Believe me, I know, because I am naive enough to believe. I'm naive enough to believe it when people say, be yourself. Share your emotions. It's important to be open about your emotions. And I'm an extrovert. And it hurts me when I get slapped down for following directions dictated by society and by all the stuff I heard growing up about how you were supposed to act as a human being. Anyway, so let's get back to my idea. Okay, the dispersed Christ, if that happened. Okay, anyway, so look, it's got this other side to it too. So what if that was a thing? Now, there's another thing. Okay, next time you go outside on a clear night, look up into the sky. There are literally dozens of stars up there. And each one of those stars is probably surrounded by a bunch of planets. Maybe it's 4, maybe it's 8, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 1,000. I do not know these things. But what if each one of those stars represents an attempt, another try? Because what if there was a God? It keeps trying over and over again to get it right. It's lonely and it wants to create these creatures. And here on Earth, it's common wisdom that God, whatever it is omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing. And it can see the future and the past, and it knows everything that's going to happen. Now, in my estimation, if that were true, that God would be a demiurge and not a God.
Lets all this happen?
It would be an evil creature.
Over and
Definitely not perfect. Anyway, so what if it keeps trying over and over again in different types of atmospheres with different kinds of life? And maybe life is everywhere. Maybe everything's alive and we just can't recognize it. And in our hubris and our human arrogance, we just say, no, us and we're the only ones that are alive. And then, you know, animals like dogs and cats and pigs and fish and whatever.
Well, they're alive, but
they're
like
also
us.
intelligent, but not like us. We're special. And forget about the fucking trees. You can't convince most people that trees are maybe a giant connected organism that has intelligence, and they operate on a different time scale that we just can't understand. And then forget about it if you try to tell someone that rocks are sentient or conscious. Anyway, I went off on a tangent there. So at some point during God's project, he sends himself down to a planet that is currently, that he's working on. Or it's working on. See? Man. Oh. So it goes down to a planet that it's working on, that it has created a man and a woman and or whatever, a flimbob and a snazzle, and they have to populate this planet, and they have to become these, humans, these, or whatever the life form is on the particular planet he's working on currently, because some of them couldn't have humans. Some planets are water planets, so they would have to be these beautiful, glorious, hyper-intelligent fish
or whatever
that live in a paradise in the ocean. And that's where they have to be confronted by the eel that says, hey, you should eat some of that seaweed over there. I know God said you shouldn't, but you should. Anyway. And then maybe some of them, maybe some of the life forms on some of these planets are slime molds or whatever. So, just like in the Bible, this God sends a copy or a version or an iteration of itself or a smaller version of itself down to a planet. And on that planet, let's use Earth as an example, because we know a little bit about that place. We're familiar with that place and the forms of life on it. So it sends itself down and it tries to talk these creatures into being what it envisioned them to be when it created them. And then, maybe it follows a formula, like Eddie Van Halen writing a Van Halen song. Definitely formulaic, brilliant formulas, but definitely formulaic. And maybe that's what God does. It follows this formula every time, and it sends a copy of itself down. Now, maybe the formula's a little different every time, because it would have to be. And it tries to talk its creations into behaving and being nice to each other. And then it says, okay, I'll be back later after it dies. And it shows up. But maybe it shows up in a way that we can't even imagine. Like, that we don't have the ability to imagine. Did you have the ability when you were a kid to imagine the internet and everything that it contains and all the cool stuff it could do, and AI music and AI whatever, and cars that do what they do now and everything else? Could you imagine that when you were a kid?
Good television.
Okay, then what makes you think you could imagine a god? A creature like that would be so massively strange and so incredibly beautiful and hideous and everything. But people think they can imagine it, and they imagine God as a sort of human, like a cranked up human, like a human on fast forward, or a superhuman, or, whatever, something like that, but definitely kind of human, or a being that is in a place. And once in a while we will hear people say, God is everywhere. And I say, okay, then I'm God. And they freak out. And they look at me like I am a heretic. And they look at me like I'm insane. But if God is everywhere, then I'm God, and you're God, and Jeffrey Dahmer was God, and Adam Lanza was God, and Mother Teresa was God, and Mr. Rogers was God, and I don't know. Anyway, I would like to think that if there is a God, it is so mind-bogglingly weird, that we couldn't recognize it for what it was if it was standing in front of us, unless it wanted us to, which brings me back around to my idea, the dispersed Christ. What happens to the dispersed Christ that wakes up by itself?
Instead of
What
all of
if
us,
a dispersed Christ wakes up all the way and goes, whoa, I'm Jesus? What if it's just a guy, a regular guy, and he wakes up one day or he does something and suddenly he remembers, oh, right, I'm Jesus, and I keep coming to this planet trying to talk the people into behaving, but I can't pull it off, even though I am God in a human body. And so it makes itself forget when it is a child, as it is struggling with its massive power and responsibility. Because it remembers all the times it's come to this planet and all the other planets. And it knows what happens. It becomes depressed. It becomes hopeless. It becomes a bereft savior. And maybe through thousands of iterations, it goes through alcoholism until it drinks itself to death, or it commits suicide, or it lives its life in a way that takes it as far away from its responsibilities as possible. And maybe that has happened on every planet that it has ever populated and then visited in an attempt to get it right. And when you look up into the sky at those trillions of stars, wow, maybe each one of them has 10 little chunks of dirt and water and amino acids spinning around that sun. And maybe each one of them has contained some sort of life at some point. And God has tried and tried and tried and continues to try, because that's what we do. We are creative engines, and we are reflections of that giant consciousness that some people call God. And maybe that's what everything we see is. Maybe that's what the universe is, or dark energy. It's raw consciousness. Anyway, you get it. I'm sure you get it. I'm done. Maybe I'll eventually complete the short stories based on this. I'll have to tell you about the one with the CIA in it. Anyway, this is Wolfgang signing off. Just wondering about things.
This is the end of the segment, and you know that it is, and that's because of this music right here.
Or, maybe it's all just an accident, or maybe it's some sort of cyclical system that's part of something else that we don't understand because we can't see it because we're embedded in it. Or maybe it's a simulation, or maybe it's an idea, or maybe elsewhere where we're just being dreamt by some kid, or maybe, or what about this? Or maybe, how about maybe it's actually, or perhaps indeed.
I did earn my AAS in philosophy and religion, and I had started a bachelor's in comparative religion with a specialty in Eastern faith, but I never completed that. But really, all manner of sacred tradition has been one of my great passions since I was 13. It is endlessly fascinating to me how people define and connect with something larger than themselves. So I want to know how an individual understands and makes meaning of their life and the world and their place in it, and the multiplicity of the way that people conceive of God or a higher power is breathtaking. And yet the essence of every philosophy I've ever encountered inevitably comes down to love, which is beautiful. And I heard a teacher say once that if you distilled every faith in the world down, it would come down to 3 simple statements, which are, it's all one, it's all love, and it's all okay.
I know Alex Layne as a friend, and a guy who used to play in bands when I lived in Baltimore. You may know him as one of the guitarists from the band Reptile House, so I'm going to just read from Wikipedia since I suspect this may be a temporary file. Reptile House was a 1980s American punk band from Baltimore's music scene. The band included Daniel Higgs, later of Lungfish, guitarists Alex Layne, Asa Osborne, and Joe Goldsboro. Bass players David Rhodes and Lee Panlillo, as well as drummers Gary Breeze and London May, who went on to play in Glenn Danzig's post-Misfits band Samhain. They recorded the 7-inch I Stumble as the Crow Flies on Discord Records with Washington, D.C. hardcore pioneer Ian MacKaye, and also released a full-length LP, Listen to the Power Soul, on the Baltimore label Merkin Records in the fall of 1988. After a long conversation on the phone today that was wonderful, it made me feel way more alive than I had felt earlier. Anyway, after that, Alex sent me a little phone recording or computer recording, sharing a personal experience with Salvia Divinorum, which is it's a plant that grows in Oaxaca, Mexico, and it's used as a ritual plant when, usually in seasons when mushrooms aren't growing, I believe. Psilocybin. It grows in kind of a shadow, what's the word? Shady? Kind of moist places, and it is with a shepherdess. Associated with a shepherdess. Indeed, you sometimes will encounter entities in the breakthrough space and sub-breakthrough space that are women with great power and mystery. One time, it is the weirdest a woman was shit made of static I have ever experienced. Spines from my chin, as if my beard was part of a cactus. Stuff because words fail you. You can say you became the couch, but you can't describe the sheer weirdness of it.
It's very strange to be made of cloth and wood.
Your
And it's happened to me.
priorities are very different.
Anyway, I've also time traveled, and I've met many people who have seemingly time traveled to an empty past. I've become books or pages in books.
And a Rolodex.
And one time, I was in Los Angeles, and I know, actually, it was Santa Monica, and I was a piece of paper being fluttered in the wind under an overpass. Now let's hear what Alex has to say.
Testing. Looks good. We're getting graph there. Okay, all right, stop. I was reminded of this time that I smoked salvia 12 years ago. And after I did it, I laid down, and it was as if I was lying down into a sarcophagus in a black void. And a zipper went up to seal me off. But before it reached the top and did so, I saw on either side of me what looked like the two Egyptian dog gods with little shepherd's crooks or whatever they are, standing facing one another, overseeing what was happening. And that was the last thing I saw before I was in the complete darkness. And then appeared what looked like a globe, but just an empty globe with the latitudinal lines in glowing red. And I was just seeing it. And the next thing I remember after that was coming back, or regaining consciousness, if you will, because I wouldn't say it was consciousness as I knew it, because I felt as if I was entering a form that I was unfamiliar with, and I didn't know how to identify. I looked down at my arms and didn't know that they were my arms. I looked at the room, and it was as if I was in the middle of this sort of spinning vortex with slowly spinning with a circus tent, and I was part of the whole room. And I've read that these sort of experiences are somewhat typical in that, feeling like you're part of some object or whatever. But anyway, the feeling of coming back in to what I thought was whatever I was, my body. It was as if I was. It was as if I had been ripped from it, and the feeling was. It was a very uncomfortable feeling of coming back in, because I didn't know what was happening. And I guess, and there was just a general feeling of my center of gravity was completely gone. I couldn't stand. I couldn't even. Anyway, yeah, that's about all that's relevant. I felt like those two things were very vivid, though. Those two gods, or whatever they were, on either side of me, and that's it. Oh, I looked down when I was coming back in before the circus tent imagery. I looked at my arm and thought there's a tattoo on my arm that sort of has crisscross lines on it, and I thought that it was the rigging of a ship, and that made me think that I was a ship. So and so I didn't know It was sort of, I guess you could call it out of body, but it wasn't it wasn't the traditional out of body experience of floating around, and it was more like out of consciousness. I didn't know what I was, let alone who I was. I didn't know what I was. And that's all there is to it for that experience. Other ones, I felt like geometry was messed around with, like I would see a vista and the perspective. You can put that in the vista looked as if two parallel lines had actually intersected somehow. Like I was seeing both the lines getting closer together, but then they actually touched, and it made no sense, but yet I was seeing this. It was as if I was in some other geometry. Okay, that's it. Stop.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. You know, I've had, so I don't even know where to start. And that's what Alex said to me in a message on Facebook when I described it, something that happened to me. He said, there's so much that I could say that I have to not say anything until we talk on the phone or
in person.
You know, anyway, too much to type. And it is weird. So it's a psychedelic medicine, and traditionally it's chewed. I said earlier that the plant grows in shady, moist areas, and they say, the people in Oaxaca who use it as a medicine say that she doesn't like being dry or whatever. But here in the United States, let me backtrack. When they use it ritually, it is when psilocybin mushrooms aren't in season.
Because they only eat those fresh, in pairs.
What they do is this. They roll up pairs of leaves, and then they sit the person down
who needs
and
the
they
therapy.
Put someone on either side of them. I've heard it's big guys, because there's something that happens with salvia, and I've heard it called the bolt factor, where you want to jump up and walk around, even though you are in another dimension or universe, but there's this urge for your body to stand up and move around. And my friend Sean gave me some 10x salvia
and
about
I still
15 years
have
ago.
a bunch of it.
It was like less than a gram. He had fallen down
Still
and hit
have
his head
some.
when he was using it alone, or bumped into something. So
Yeah.
be really careful.
It's
This stuff is
dangerous.
legal in most places, but I'm here to tell you that it is not a toy. It needs to be used with intention, self-reflection, and lots of safety. In here with the good news. Here's the good news. Researchers are... so unlike tryptamine psychedelics, Salvia Divinorum, or Salvinorin A, which is the active in the plant, does not touch the 5-HT2A receptor that the tryptamines do. I hope I'm right about that. However, it does touch the mu agonist, the mu opiate receptor. So there is work being done to develop a painkiller using Salvia Divinorum because it is anesthetizing. Now, if they can get get it to work, we will have a powerful painkiller. And if they can get it to not be psychedelic as fuck, we will have an effective painkiller that is not addictive, that doesn't feel good, that won't lead you to heroin, or it's actually not even heroin anymore on the streets. It's fentanyl with other drugs in it, and it's super dangerous. That's why you gotta test all your drugs, because fentanyl's fucking everywhere. Anyway. Okay. What was I saying? If they can get it to work without being debilitatingly psychedelic, because you should really do the stuff laying in bed or in a ritual context with other people to make sure you sit in place, it'll be great. Like I said, it's not euphoric and it's non-addictive. It's actually anti-addictive. And the longer you use it, the less you need of it. Anyway, I do suspect that the experiential part of psychedelic healing is necessary. I also think that the experiential part of opioids may be necessary for their useful properties, because they don't take pain away, really. They just make it so you don't give a shit that you're in pain. I mean, that's really more how they work, in my experience. Anyway, all right, back to what I was saying. I just had to break in with this really good news, you know, if it happens. And they're finding more psychedelics all over the place, in sea sponges and in fish, and there are indications that they might work as other medicines, just like plants like kratom, which can be used to get people off of opioids, although it's addictive too, and it's sort of like an NMDA, what's it called? SNRI, and I find that stuff to be kind of unpleasant, and I got addicted to it, and it's hard to get off of, but it is safer than fentanyl. And anyway, here's the good news. It feels yucky. To me it does, and I've talked to other people who say the same thing. Now, here in the United States, we can't take the time to grow the plants and chew the fresh leaves, or even, a lot of people won't even rehydrate them and chew them. They want to smoke it, and they just don't smoke the plain leaf, even though if you do, there is a reverse tolerance that forms. So eventually, as you work with it, you can break through into deeper dimensions that usually take an enhanced extract with just plain leaf. And during that time, you get to form a relationship with the plant. But here in the United States, during the Salvia thing, there were all these extracts, 10x, 20x, 30x, 40x, 80x, 120x, blah, blah. And it's crazy, because the stuff is active in the microgram range. And I would say that 5 to 10x is plenty, but you need a scale, you need to know the dosage ranges, and you need to have someone with you when you do it. And smoking is not good for you. Inhaling burning smoke is not good for you. So if you can find another way to do it, that's cool. But it tastes terrible. And the smoke reeks. It will ruin a pipe forever. Anyway, thank you, Alex Layne, for sharing that amazing story. I'm sure it's just one of many. Just like with all of you guys out there who know me or are tangentially related or who are just really interested. I'm sure you have lots of stories to tell us. And we want you to come along for this ride and collaborate with us and make music for the show with us and art. And we have a lot planned. Brian and I have crazy plans. And with your help, we can make it happen. And we're going to help a lot of people when we do. Okay, I think now it's a time for a story from someone else. My friend Jamie Panzer, who played bass in a bunch of bands, but is most well known for playing in the band Candy Machine. And he is on the albums A Modest Proposal and the other one that came right after that.
Tune International.
Can't remember the title.
Tune International.
He wants to tell us a story. And here it is. Jamie is a brilliant guy. He's a collage artist. He's a good friend. And this is a perfect outlet for his super-powered creativity. All right, here we go. Actually, he hasn't sent his piece in yet, so I'm going to put something else in at this point. But that's the nature of punk rock. That's the nature of DIY. You roll with the punches. Excuse me. You roll with the punches, and if you need to, you switch things up and you make it work. And that's what I'm going to do. So now we're going to talk more about psychedelic healing, because I am currently in a phase where I'm able to take these medicines. I have a really hard time doing that a lot of the time. I'm so sensitive, I can feel ibuprofen and it makes me feel like it's overwhelming even sometimes. I think it must be because I'm autistic. So just imagine what powerful psychedelics are like for me. It's not easy, and it's not always pleasant, as you'll hear in these recordings that I just made of myself having an experience on ayahuasca. Anyway, here we go. I should record this. Because it's what I do, and I'm fucking scared right now. And uncomfortable in like a weird way, like mildly. I just discovered earlier that one of my teeth is breaking off or falling out. And it's terrifying, and I need help. I need help getting it fixed because I want to share this art with the world. And I'm so lucky that I have so many wonderful friends who will help me. And we want to help as many people who are suffering, who are fucked up in some sort of way. Oh man, my heart, or my chest hurts, and I'm 56 years old, and I'm terrified, and I haven't been taking good care of myself, and I need help. And I'm being told right now that I do
Oh man, it hurts. Oh fuck. Oh, it's so beautiful, and it hurts just like life. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. And I can feel it coming up from my stomach, and I'm thinking about Chad Clark, and I can feel it coming up through my fucking stomach and my chest and my throat, and fuck, it hurts. It feels like giving birth. Oh fuck, and I worry that, oh my god, I worry that I'm gonna fucking die, but I know I'm not. Fuck, it's like giving birth, I imagine. Oh, but higher up in my chest. Oh, thank you for... Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Oh. And now I want to make sure I recorded this because it was amazing and magical, and I want to thank everyone who helped me get here. That includes Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays and my headphones and everyone else. I love you all. Thank you so much. Here comes the amazing fucking launching part of this song of As Falls Wichita, So Falls Wichita Falls. Holy fuck, I'm gonna shut up now. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this with the world. It's so fucking amazing and so beautiful, and I know it's not for everyone else. It's not the kind of healing that is available for everyone else, but I want it to be available for the right people who are able to do this safely and all that. And right now I'm remembering I need to say, hey, Magic Matt, we love you, and we need to know that you're okay. You magical motherfucker, I love you so much. If you need to be away and separate from us right now, that's okay. We understand, but we're going to help you through your problems. As a matter of fact, they may dissolve magically. Probably not. But we need to at least know that you're okay. Because your mother is suffering in terror and loss and fear every day. Let us know if it's only a ping, but make sure we can tell it's you. I love you. 38, 42, 55. I am one of those people who sees these substances as sacred. And if I didn't think that I had the purity of intention to record this, I would think that it was a vile demonstration of arrogance and self-aggrandizement or something. I would think it was fucked up and wrong, but I know it's important for me to record this stuff. And I don't want to spread the idea that everyone should do it, because they definitely shouldn't, because there are a lot of people out there who this stuff would break in half maybe, or make their illnesses worse, and they're on medicines that would interact, and some parts of it might kill them, and I don't want that. You know, like the MAOIs, even if they're reversible, like the ones in ayahuasca, can be dangerous. if you're on certain medications and if you have certain health conditions. Anyway, just be careful and don't fuck around and don't get in trouble. Don't go to jail. But we're going to try to fix that too. Because all the people keeping this illegal, they've probably done it. Some of them, a lot of them. And I forget what I was going to say. But we're going to try to fix this. It's not just the hypocrisy, it's that those people might benefit from it too. And we got to stop demonizing it, and we got to stop marginalizing people who do it, because it is of the earth, and we're part of the earth, and the earth is alive, and it's all for us. And we need to use these tools to help ourselves be healthy and to save the world. We can use it to save the world. That's what I'm being told by Mother Ayahuasca right now as we speak. And we can do it. And I don't have to be afraid that I'm going to lose this file. So I can put that fear away. And this song I'm listening to now on my headphones is called It's For You. Once again, from As Falls Wichita, So Falls Wichita Falls, by Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays. Rest in peace, Lyle Mays. Thank you for the beautiful music. You can't imagine what the DMT entities have done to your work in my hearing. Oh, my God. I mean, shit. You're amazing as it is. But to hear what these entities, whether they're parts of my consciousness and my personality, or whether they're plant intelligences, or if they are our ancestors, or if they're aliens, they like your music, Lyle, and they can remix it in real time in really cool ways, and just the piano solos and stuff too, and not just the whole song, like I would think it would be the whole song, but nope. And that reminds me, I got to tell you the story about the reticent, or the drum, the conga drum that would not cooperate. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thanks for all your help. Now, like in the past and in the future. Anyway, thank you. I love you. Here I go again into hyperspace. I'm so thankful, and I understand. I'm so lucky to live in a place where this is decriminalized. Even though I'm lying. And I live in Maryland, although I live on off of Pennsylvania Avenue, which is where the White House is, so I consider it D.C. and whatever, and I don't want to get in trouble, but I need to do this or I'm going to die. And I've been fucked with by the police already, and we may tell that story. I don't know. I don't want to. But we might need to. Okay, September 15th. Is that what it's called? I always forget the name. Rick Beato did a wonderful breakdown of it, and he called it the most beautiful piece of music ever recorded, and I agree. It's called September 15th. Dedicated to Bill Evans. It's by Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays. From the album on ECM Records, As Falls Wichita, So Falls Wichita Falls. And it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard in my life. And it is so meaningful to me. I got it from the library, from Fairview Library. And I listened to it and listened to it and listened to it, and I forgot to return it. and I was freaking out, and I was like, oh, fuck. I'm in trouble. And then I ended up keeping it because I was so scared. And I was also wanted the record, and I didn't have any money, and I was, whatever. Now I'm going to do this thing. And I hope that I can communicate to all of you that this is serious fucking business. It is not me getting high to play around, although it's really, really amazing, and it does feel good sometimes, but as you heard earlier, it can fucking hurt like crazy, and it's scary as shit to even do it. Weirdly, I will spend weeks in what's called pre-flight jitters, where my, I'll think about it, and my heart will start pounding just thinking about it. Even though it's a neurochemical that's in all of our bodies all the time, adjusting the ratios does very interesting things, and it heals us. I have a feeling that in our past, there was a lot more of it going through our bodies when there needed to be, and that's how we came up with language and so many other of our ideas. And I'm not saying that humans aren't special. I'm not saying that they're, whatever. But this stuff is magic to me. And I have a feeling once scientists start working with it for real, if they can, in service of the work that they're doing to improve or access ideas that they don't have access to, I think it's going to change the world. And right now, we need to change the world because it's fucked up, and there's all kinds of scary shit that's happening. And the Earth might be saying, hey, I'm going to shake you guys off like you're a bunch of fucking fleas, because Wolfgang's idea that that humans are planetary cancer in a lot of cases may not be wrong. So let's try to fix this shit, people. I don't care what your political leanings are or whatever. And if you're super religious, believe me, God wants this planet to be a wonderful place for everyone. So stop trying to dominate people and start cooperating and start helping everyone. You know what the right thing to do is deep inside. The money will come, the support, whatever. The help you need will come. Just stop being a dick. And let's fix the planet. Stop worrying about money. Exxon doesn't need any fucking more money. Neither does Apple. And they've got so much money that they can turn it into fixing the planet. So let's do it. Thank you. I love you. It's all so beautiful. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Thank you. And once again, I'm feeling this pain rise up. Okay, it is resolved. And there are all these beautiful lines all over the inky velvet darkness behind my eye shade. Wow. That's a good word for it. Wow. Holy fuck. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And right now I can see the future, all futures. And I'm thinking about how I want to do this episode and how I want to put this in after Jamie's piece and how it's going to be really long. But whatever. Thank you. And now I'm thinking I need to contact Erica Casebolt. We have a complex and difficult friendship. And we haven't talked in a couple years. And I love her and I need to share this with her. And I need her to be part of this project because she's so beautiful and so magical. And I've heard her described as a storm and a force of nature. And I need her to be a part of this because she's integral. And she's just as integral as Laura Dove, who I love so much. Who I know will be a part of my life forever in some way. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is all so amazing. My God. Not the tripping, which I am, but everything looks normal. And I feel very sober and normal right now. I am just so thankful for everything that has happened in my life, including the brain injury, including the fuckery, including the addiction that I went through. And I'm not saying anyone needs to go through addiction. Get help. And we're going to try to help with that too. Thank you to all of you who have made my life a magical thing. Because it is truly a beautiful, magical life. I am so profoundly lucky and blessed and talented, and I was given the mind of a genius for a reason, and I met Brian Davis for a reason, and he's another genius, and I know a bunch of fucking geniuses, and even though I contend that genius is a disability in this world, I want to show the power of punk rock, and I will, and we all will, and we will solve problems, and we will try to save the world. Thank you. The Brian and Wolfgang Show, the podcast, the record store that turned into a podcast. Come with us and help. We love you all, even if we don't know you yet or we don't fucking remember you. Thank you. That is all. Wolfgang signing off. Let's fucking do this. No more bullshit excuses. It's fucking time. He diabolically laughed as he turned his thing off so he could save the file because it's so fucking cool and he doesn't want to lose it.
Well,
I gotta save this file.
Well, that was intense. I mean, listening to it. As I was editing this together, my heart started pounding. And it was because I was so excited about what I am creating. I have tapped into something, apparently, and it's thrilling, and it's terrifying, and I'm just going for it, because, damn it, I only have one chance as far as I know, although I kind of suspect that consciousness goes on and on. Anyway, yeah. This is serious, and people are reacting to it already. I'm getting very positive responses from people who want to help, and it's gonna be a huge project. Someone said it's too ambitious. We'll see about that. Yeah, we'll see. Like I've said before, this may sound crazy, but maybe Brian and I are crazy enough to do it. Maybe. Like the people who made airplanes, and the people who went to outer space, and cured cancer. The person, Les Paul, who invented multi-tracking, and the first person to do whatever, and the first person to do this and that, and this and that impossible thing, and the first person to do the other impossible thing, and then that guy who could, no one's gonna be able to do that, no one's gonna care about that, no, you can't change anything, you're not gonna be successful with something so wild that fuses you yammering on and on with experimental music that you make in your basement and all these, whatever. All this weirdness. Yeah. But here's the thing. We have been living in peak bullshit, peak weirdness, peak awfulness, peak you name it. We've been bathing in it. This is fine. We just had a guy as president who was, and then he was followed by another guy who was, who still is, So anything is possible as far as I'm concerned. The Brian and Wolfgang Show, the record store that turned into a podcast.